just get the microphone closer.
Get closer?
If I do.
Oh, okay.
I mean, to the guest. Nicole's here? Nicole's. Okay, got it.
Everybody sit down and then we'll go. All right, good afternoon, everybody. We are going to get started with the show, so feel free to continue to eat lunch, or if you want seconds, feel free to go grab some. Good to start. Welcome to Inside Saluki Women's Basketball with Coach Cindy Stein. I'm Kelly Burke, and thanks to all of you who are here at the Cook Club for our live lunch taping this afternoon, and hello to all of you listening this evening on 105.1 VZA. Coach Stein, now in her 5th season with the Salukis, and Coach, you guys are 1-1 right now in the season. You know, what has impressed you most so far about this group?
Well, I just think that our basketball IQ is pretty high, so I think that helps, especially when you need to make adjustments. And of course, I'm trying to not to relive last night's game, so we're trying to figure that out. But they are. I mean, the high basketball IQ, everybody's bought in. I do think our talent level is pretty high as well. I think we're can be a really good offensive team, and obviously we're working on those defensive things.
Well, let's revisit the 2 games you guys have played in the regular season so far, starting with UT Martin, an 84-72 win. You know, the 14 steals in that game, the most since you've taken over as coach. Kylie Gabelhausen, 25 points. Mackenzie Sylvie, 15 points. But you got a ton of contributions across the board.
Well, this scoring was very well spread out throughout the lineup. I really like that. I like us to be able to score in all 5 spots on the floor. But that was a pleasant surprise. You never know how people are going to start their first game. I thought we came out strong. We came out fast. We controlled the ball game. Defensively, I think we got more confidence as the game went on, which led to some, early steals and getting out in the passing lane. So I thought the rebounding was good, which helped start our offense. So we played pretty smooth, and we made a lot of really good adjustments on the floor for whatever UT Martin did.
And then let's revisit last night's game, although I'm sure you probably don't want to. A 10-point loss to UAB. You got great performances by 2 of your freshmen, Nicole Martin, who we will hear from later in the show, 18 points to lead the way. Now that you've had a chance to kind of digest the film, what stands out?
Well, I think that we should have beat them. I mean, I watched the game, and our energy level was low at times. We weren't out in passing lanes. The things we worked on in practice, we didn't execute. We had a lot of standing on offense. And when our team moves on offense, we're really, really good. I mean, we're hard to guard because we do have a high basketball IQ, but it's hard to kind of make those reads when you're standing in one place. So different things like that we've got to clean up, but I told the team afterwards, I'm extremely encouraged because I think UAB is a good team, and that's a team we probably should have beaten, and I thought we shot ourselves in the foot. So we don't want to give up 29 points to one kid. And we've got to do a better job defensively in those areas. But there's a lot of room for improvement, but at the same time, I'm very confident in what we can do.
We have some audience questions, so I want to go to those pretty quickly, and I think you will like this one in particular. It says, when we win the Missouri Valley Championship this year, will it be mainly due to our offense or our defense?
That is a great question, and I am going to say it's going to rely on our defense because, we have 2 outstanding performances last night, and we still lost. So it comes down to you got to be able to shut teams down. Unless we're going to start averaging over 100 points, I think that we got to get that defense ready.
Well, speaking of the defense, you have said over the last couple of weeks that you finally feel like you have the pieces to play the defense that you envisioned. So, explain more what you mean by that and when you feel like you'll be able to play the type of defense that you're talking about.
Well, I really felt like the last 4 years it was basically, begging people to play defense and trying to get kids out in the passing lanes and pressure the ball. And when you can pressure the ball, it makes the next pass so much more difficult. And we've got too many really good scorers in our league to just let people catch the ball wherever they want. So I do feel like we have really good length. I think we have good athleticism. I think we have kids that anticipate really well. So I do feel like we can start taking things away from people. I think when you play an opponent, you got to take away what their strength is. And I think that we have the ability to be able to do that.
You have one senior on the team this year, Kylie Gabelhausen, and she's obviously going to be a focal point of opposing defenses. But, you know, how do you feel like she's better equipped to handle that this season?
Well, I think, Kylie is such a good learner of the game. I mean, she learns as she's going along. And I think that these last 3 years going into her fourth, I just think that she's learned how other people have led, kind of using her own personality to be able to lead in her own way. I mean, she's just such an outstanding young lady. I think that she's a kid that likes pressure. She doesn't like to fail. I mean, I think that that's her biggest thing is overcoming failure because she's a kid that expects perfection out of herself and probably puts more pressure on herself than anybody else can. And so she's just someone that you just know is always going to learn and snap, back into things quickly.
You know, you told me we had a conversation last season, and we were talking about your freshmen that were coming in, and you said you were so excited about them that, this was the most talented group of freshmen you've had yet. So how do you feel like each of them stand out, not only on the court, but off the court? And, let's go through freshman by freshman. Okay.
Well, I would agree with that, and I'm still excited about them, even after last night's game. But I think that what I liked about them, watching them play in high school and then now, is I think they're really gritty competitors. And I think that that's an element that's sometimes hard to find in kids. And I'll start with Rachel Podlowski. I think that she's going to be fabulous. I think that, I really see her coming in right now as a defender and a rebounder, but that kid's going to be able to score and score in a variety of ways. She's got a three-point shot. She can attack the basket. I think right now she's just trying to get a comfort level, but she's extremely competitive. And she's one of the kids I brag about is the fact that if I say something in practice, she is always the one that does it exactly the way I want it the very next time. And you don't get that a lot as well. So, that's awesome. Then you have Mackenzie Sylvie that has just a basketball savvy to her. We're working with Mac on her defense a little bit. But I think that you can see that she's a great passer, sees the floor extremely well. She's going to be a better defender down the road because she has good anticipation skills. But another young lady that, she's extremely competitive. I don't feel like she comes in nervous at all, which I really like. She's got a little cockiness to her. She talks smack a little bit. And I don't mind as long as she doesn't start fighting out there. I'm okay with it, which I don't think she will. And she can probably run faster than most, so she'll be all right in that category. And then you have Abby Brockmeyer. That Abby is fearless, and I was just telling somebody out here that it cracks me up because when you watch Abby during introductions, she always looks like she's about to cry. She just has this face like this poor sweet thing. She's about to cry, and then she goes out there and just knocks people down and gets the rebound and puts it back up, and she's fearless. And I just really enjoy watching her play, and she's got this little sweet voice. But you just know that there's this inner fire in her that's just going to knock you on your tail, and we enjoy watching that as well.
All right. Well, we will, and we should mention too, Chris Waters is redshirting this year. Anything you want to mention about her?
Yeah, Chris is going to be awesome. I mean, I really believe that she's going to be another young lady that her freshman year when she can play is going to be impactful. Great hands. Really good shooter, has three-point range, but really good around the basket. Has a variety of moves already, which a lot of times incoming kids, you got to teach them those things. So I think that she's going to be really impactful. Has when we can get her in great shape, I just think that she's, unlimited in what she's going to be able to do.
All right, Coach. Well, we will hear from you later in the show, but coming up next, we visit with SIU sophomore starter Nicole Martin. You're listening to Inside Saluki Women's Basketball from Learfield.
You're like the first one that has said it the first time perfectly. Okay, 'cause I'm really nervous.
No, you're fine. Don't be nervous at all.
I'm at this point. I'm just ready for the semester to be over.
What are you guys, a couple weeks from finals?
Yeah, I want to say like 2 weeks.
All right, we're going to start. Welcome back to Inside Saluki Women's Basketball. I'm your host, Kelly Burke, and joined now by the All-Missouri Valley Conference freshman and a sophomore this season, Nicole Martin. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, Coach raved, all off season about your work ethic and said that you were, the person that worked the hardest this off season. And so what did you specifically focus on, and where do you feel like you improved?
My focus is always just to work as hard as I can, just to get the team better. I just want to do all I can to improve the team as a whole. I think I've improved on posting up, just getting that first openness, staying low on the block. Yeah.
So we won't just be seeing the turnaround jumper this year.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely still working on that. I'm trying to do some more moves, but yeah, I still need some work on that area.
Okay, so if we're going one-on-one in the lane, let's say we have Bob Garrison over here, former football player. I believe you're a linebacker. Built solid. He gives up a couple inches to you. If you're taking him on one-on-one in the lane, what moves are you putting down?
So you're a linebacker. I would probably do an up and under, possibly. Yeah, the up and under move, probably.
Well, you were all MVC freshman last year. What were the big takeaways from your freshman season?
Honestly, probably that, you can't just go in thinking that you'll win. It's a lot different from high school. That was probably the biggest thing for me. In high school, usually it's not that hard to score. It's not that hard to, get open, not that hard to shoot. Whereas college, you got to work for everything. That was probably the biggest thing. And I was very excited to receive that reward.
It was well-deserved, too. Well, how has your role changed this season, with the graduation of Kim down in the post area and obviously the rebounding void left by her?
I definitely feel like the coaches put a lot more on me to do, and I see that now. So I just have to step in that role more, take on some more responsibility, probably just leading somewhat also.
You guys have 4 new freshmen this year, 3 that are seeing the court. What advice have you given to them so far, and how have they impressed you?
It's really crazy because they don't need advice. They just came in, knew what they were going to do. Honestly, they've given me advice, let's win this game, let's go. I'm just I like it, let's do it. But yeah, honestly, the freshmen know what they got to do. They came in ready, but they're all good. I like them all.
Good to hear. Well, you're one of 9 kids, I believe. What were family dinners like growing up in your house, and how competitive was it?
Honestly, the first one gets it all. I was at the bottom. I was at the bottom of that food chain multiple times, but I've learned over the years, even now, as Coach Stein, I eat a lot. I'm the first one there to make sure I get mine.
And you're the second youngest, so how have you taken advantage of that in the pecking order?
Honestly, in my family, just because you're the youngest or the baby, no one really cares that much. So it's just, you just got to work, honestly. I think that's I get that work ethic from. You just have to work for everything, honestly.
Your sister, Kezia, is a standout jumper on the SIU track team. Well, okay, you say maybe not, but she was third at the outdoor championships for Missouri Valley. So we're gonna go ahead and say that. How close are the two of you, and how often do you get to see her?
Well, I'll start by saying that when I found out that she was gonna come here, I told Coach Stein that I didn't want to come here, just because with my big family, I'm always like around people, which isn't always bad, but just I thought for once when I went at school, I'd be on my own, and I was excited about that. But then Kezia ups and transfers to the school I'm going to, so I was pretty upset. But but now that I'm here and I see her I see her every day, and honestly, it's been amazing. She's like my best friend now. I go to her for everything. She goes same with me. But I feel like we've definitely gotten closer from the past.
Well, and she's a senior, so at least you will have here the last 2 years without her.
Actually, she's going to be staying here for her graduate, so I'll see her for 2 more years.
All right, I misspoke then. Well, real quick, you're a pre-med and biological science major. At least that's what it says in your bio.
I changed my major to exercise science. I plan on being a nurse anesthetist, but yeah, still kind of on that track.
Well, Nicole Martin, it was great to talk to you. Thank you for joining us here today. And we will be back with head coach Cindy Stein for the final segment. You are listening to Inside Saluki Women's Basketball from Learfield.
Walking in front of the camera.
Welcome back to Inside Saluki Women's Basketball. Kelly Burke alongside the head coach Cindy Stein. And coach, you have 10 of your 14 players are underclassmen this year. So would you say that they're keeping you young, or are they aging you?
That's a great question. I'm not sure how to politically correct to answer that. But I think they're fun. I really like this team. I think they've got great personalities. They're really funny kids and just great sense of humor. But I do think that I have to go for get my hair done for color a lot more this year. It's just, it used to be every 5-6 weeks. We've moved it to every 4 weeks. So if that tells you anything.
It gets expensive too, right?
Yeah, that stuff's crazy.
Well, let's go to another audience question. This one is particularly about the freshmen. It says, are you surprised that the freshmen, Mac and Abby in particular, were able to contribute so strongly this early?
I am not surprised. I feel like that's, I think all of our freshmen have that potential coming in. just because of their grittiness. Now it's all getting to, I think they learned from last night, it's all in the details as well. It's great to be gritty, but you got to also pay attention to details. And I think they're getting that, and I think they're just going to get better and better. And this is a group of young ladies, the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and then our one senior that, they see that Missouri Valley Championship is something that they're capable of. And they're very driven kids. So it's not like they're coming in and go, well, if we play, it's okay if we lose. This group doesn't have that mentality, which is something as a coach you always worry about. So we don't worry about that because they want to win. They want to win badly. They want to know, just like with last night, well, what happened? Let's get it figured out because we don't want this to happen again. And that's just a mentality thing that sometimes it's hard to get if they don't already have it.
Well, speaking of Valley Championships, what are goals that you've set with this group this season, and is that something you talk about with a young team?
We always have a specific goals of winning the Missouri Valley Tournament Championship, having above a 3.0 GPA, being undefeated at home. Those are things that, and going to postseason, obviously, those are things that are always going to be goals of our program. And I think that kids pretty much embrace that. And I think that's the thing that has impressed me with this group is they just want to get better. And when you have that as your goal, they want to get better every day, makes life a lot simpler.
You recently signed 2 point guards to letters of intent. What can you tell us about the two of them?
Yeah, I get a lot of questions because they're like, are you not happy with your point guards? You signed 2 in the early signing, and both of those kids are extremely versatile, and I don't think there's any problem with having kids that played point guard out on the floor because you can just get the ball up and rolling. And so that's what I like, is that those kids are going to be extremely competitive their first year here, but they're also kids that can play any of the guard spots. And I think we've been looking to improve our ball handling overall. They're going to really help us with that. And so it's not necessarily that they're going to come in and play the point guard spot. They're going to probably play a lot. But it's going to be one of those things where they can play anywhere on the floor, and that's what we will enjoy.
You are in the midst of a 3-game road trip right now over about a 10-day period. With a young team, what are the biggest challenges to going on the road?
Well, it's usually making sure that they're fed on time. They get a little surly when they haven't been fed. So that's usually our biggest challenge. But honestly, I think that the UAB thing was a good experience to have. I think now we just continue to get better with that. And I think it's all in the preparation. We stood around a lot. So, were we standing around a lot because we had a 6.5-hour bus trip the day before, and how do we counteract that? So I think that those are things that we'll evaluate. But that's the biggest challenge is every day that we've got to expect adversity. And then it's growing from that adversity that any kind of failure we may have is going to propel us forward and not backward.
I'm sure there's a lot of teaching moments right now at practice, but what is something that this young group has taught you so far?
I'm not sure I have an answer to that right now. I'd have to think about this, but I would tell you that you just always have to have an alternative option, because sometimes with youth they get it and then they forget it. And then it may come back to them at some point. So you just got to keep on, what's your alternative option if this doesn't work? Whether it's you're set to play a man-to-man defense, and then obviously we're not doing that very well. What's your next option? And I think that as we continue to grow, we will grow in all of those areas.
Well, the Salukis hit the road to Memphis this Sunday. A team you know well and have played quite a bit over the last couple of years. Connor Onion will be on the call for that game on 105.1 VZA, and tip-off set for 2 p.m. this Sunday. And, of course, we want to thank all of you who are here joining us in person, and we hope you'll join us for our next live show at the Cook Club on Tuesday, December 12th. Until then, for Coach Cindy Stein, I'm Kelly Burke saying so long from Southern Illinois University. This has been Inside Saluki Women's Basketball from Learfield.